Scanning the school grounds, one can see the reality of teenage life. School gangs operate under their own rules, but the truth is that these delinquents, who form groups to commit violence, steal money, and engage in various crimes, are dangerous. These gangs are often unpredictable, acting solely on their base impulses without concern for the damage they leave in their wake. They constantly love to show off, strutting around to display their dominance. These delinquents seek to live a life that is completely free and unrestrained. The biggest reason they are able to maintain such an arrogant lifestyle for so long is simple. It is because they are a gang, bound by their collective intimidation. There are several ways for these groups to manage their influence, and the Iljins of the Gwanak district have established their own headquarters at the June Motel. They have chosen a very mature, structured way to go about their business, holding a Gwanak district Iljin gang general assembly. Seeing this gathering, one can only wonder, what are these bastards doing? Dowan Ha stares at the scene, sweating profusely. He thinks to himself, wait, is this what the system meant? The system notification appears, marking the final stage of The Boy Becomes a Man chain quest. It declares that a true man must know how to enjoy the thrill of risking his life in a desperately dangerous situation, demanding that he escape safe and sound. Dowan reflects on the instructions, questioning exactly what the system meant when it told him he had to become a man during this reality quest. With a sudden ding, a new system message provides clarity. In the case of chain quests, the reward is only granted after the final task is cleared. Dowan realizes that while the reward itself isn't what is most important right now, the mission is reaching its conclusion. Dowan Ha trembles as he stares at Sehun, his voice shaking as he manages a stuttering, Sehun. I knew something was suspicious about you. He looks at her with wide eyes, panicked by the implication of his system quest. Did you bring me here to turn me in? Before Dowan can spiral further, the figure at the podium strikes his gavel, declaring, then this item will be passed. As the gavel hits with a sharp lift, the surrounding crowd murmurs in confusion, wondering aloud, but what is that punk doing with that hammer? Amid the tension of the room, someone calls out wait, just as the figure at the gavel turns to look directly at him, demanding, what is it? Siyeon, identified by the system as an 18-year-old affiliate of the Borame gang, keeps her cool. She looks at Dowan and firmly commands, Siyeon. Instead of this, why don't you move on to the next item? Nearby, a group of guys watches the scene unfold, one of them squinting as he asks, Who's the punk next to her, before his eyes widen in realization, oh, sh*t. Siyeon's hot. Dowan is hyper-aware of the stares, thinking to himself, crap, everyone's looking this way. He gulps, his palms sweating, as he repeats her command back, by the second item, you mean, is this actually the place where I'm going to die? The man at the podium adjusts his glasses, his voice cutting through the noise, are you talking about the currently empty executive seat of the Iljin gang, selected from one of the representatives of Borame? Dowan is visibly shaking, his mind racing as he processes the absurdity, electing a representative? What are they, members of Congress? These punks have all gone bananas. Siyeon doesn't miss a beat, answering with a calm, that's right. I finally found someone fit for the role. Seeing his chance, Dowan begins to tiptoe away, praying silently, if I sneak out while they're talking, maybe I'll be able to escape. His hope is crushed instantly as Siyeon reaches out to grab him by the collar, declaring, I'll speak as a proxy. The new representative of Borame is? Siyeon grabs Dowan Ha by the collar, pulling him back as she announces his name to the room, leaving him utterly bewildered by her sudden, cryptic proclamation. Dowan is frozen in shock, eyes wide and sweating, as he hears the news, he has been named a candidate for the representative of Borame. He can only stammer, what? Ha, in disbelief. A clamor erupts among the gathered crowd as they recognize the jackass from the screen. Murmurs of confusion and amusement fill the air, is he really the one they're picking? Everyone is laughing at the sheer absurdity of the idea. One student argues that having someone who harmed one of their members become a representative would be problematic, but he is quickly countered, no, he is more than qualified for the position. Siyeon stands her ground, coolly explaining that the fact that he knocked out 3 people in just a single day is exactly why he is fit for the role. One of the gang leaders turns to Han, asking if he's just going to let this slide, noting that the woman is using the fact he beat up their guys as proof of his capability. Sung-han, the representative of Siyeon, calmly replies that she isn't wrong about that, seemingly unmoved by the situation. Dowan demands to know what the hell is going on, insisting he will never join an Iljin gang, but Sehun just tells him to think carefully about what is happening. The group continues to discuss the situation Dowan is in right now. A presentation on the screen details his profile, Dowan Ha, an 18-year-old junior at Shernan High School residing in Borame, as they deliberate on whether or not they should punish him. The room falls into a vote as the order is given. Those who think they should take action against him are to raise their hands, leaving Dowan center stage under the weight of their judgment. The room reaches a cold, unanimous vote. From this moment on, the verdict is set. Dowan Ha has been designated as a target for all 497 members of the Gwanak district Iljin gang. Dowan is left reeling, sweat beading on his forehead as he stammers, but still. The system offers a grim alternative. If he becomes an Iljin gang member, he won't be held responsible for the aftermath. It's a choice between a rock and a hard place: either join their ranks or prepare to fight 500 people single-handedly. Dowan looks at Siyeon, his voice trembling as he admits that her logic actually holds some weight. He starts to thank her for her concern, but she cuts him off sharply, making it clear she isn't doing this for his benefit. Siyeon explains that she is merely positioning him strategically before some other jackass claims the spot. Just as Dowan puzzles over her choice of words, the elevator dings, signaling their arrival. The elevator doors slide open to reveal a familiar face waiting for them, and Dowan freezes, his expression one of pure shock. Dowan lets out a startled, "Ah," as he realizes, that's the exact same douchebag I ran into at the arcade. Sehun Kong steps forward, looking at the pair with a smirk. "Siyeon, why didn't you tell me the assembly meeting was today?" he asks, his gaze shifting to Dowan. Before she can fully react, he adds, "I knew something was up ever since you said that he was your boyfriend." Sehun sneers down at them, asking, "Is this what you were trying to hide?" The system immediately identifies him, Sehun Kong, an 18-year-old affiliate of the Borame group. Dowan Ha stands his ground as Sehun Kong closes in, demanding to know if all this is truly necessary, even if he opposes his candidacy for representative. As Sehun steps closer, a confused and breathless Dowan can only stammer, "Ha." Sehun sneers at him, mocking his worth, and asks, "What are you going to do with someone like him as the representative?" before he grabs Dowan by the throat, forcing a strained "erg" from his victim. The bystanders gasp as Sehun's grip tightens, his hand feels rock hard, leaving Dowan unable to breathe. Sehun scoffs, "Look at him. He can't do anything but tap out," while Dowan frantically taps against his assailant's arm, letting out a desperate "ugh." Sung-han calmly intervenes, warning them, "Please don't stir up any commotion at an official meeting." However, a whisper ripples through the crowd, wondering, is Dowan Ha the new representative of Borame? Dowan is thrown to the ground in a loud crash. Sehun smugly declares, "No, that's going to be me," prompting an immediate retort from the crowd, "Hey, there's no way. Stop blabbering nonsense." The onlookers whisper amongst themselves, questioning what those punks are doing right now, with one noting, "That Dowan kid is hella weak." Even in the midst of the chaos, another chimes in, "sh*t, Siyeon sexy even when she's shouting." Sung-han watches the scene with a cold, analytical gaze, questioning, "Two candidates for the representative position?" He then adds firmly, "Then I guess we have no choice." Sung continues, "We must proceed with it." A struggling Dowan lets out a pained "K." While those watching wonder, what in the world is he talking about? Dowan tries to regain his footing, stammering, "I have no intention of becoming a," but the system overrides him, commanding him to stand and rise. He can only utter a bewildered "huh," while the crowd mutters, "What the?" Dowan finds himself suddenly surrounded by the entire group, leaving him to wonder, why are these punks suddenly? As the tension in the room reaches a breaking point. The tension spikes as a notification warns that the battle will proceed until one side declares defeat or becomes unable to fight. Dowan Ha stares in disbelief, questioning if he really has to do this. He wonders what would happen if he wins and is told he'll become the representative of Borame. Completely caught off guard, he snaps at them, Just a second, you bastards." Dowan is visibly sweating, reeling from the sudden escalation.
He can't help but sputter, fight? Didn't you just say 20 seconds ago about not stirring up a commotion at an official meeting?
His opponent, however, remains cold and dismissive, retorting, I could care less.
You guys take care of that on your own.
Dowan considers just declaring defeat immediately, but the system's threat looms over him. If he loses after making the first decision, he will be punished accordingly right away.
Realizing he's trapped, he mutters, sh*t.
Dowan turns to Siyeon, muttering that she shouldn't resent him too much, since it was her own fault for being found out by him. He sighs, realizing he has no choice but to go through with this. Dowan tells the others to leave Borame to him now, pausing as he realizes the weight of his words.
As things have turned out this way, there is no turning back.
Dowan leaps into the air, mid-kick, and challenges his opponent, demanding to know what he's looking at, all while thinking to himself that he'd better win. The system activates as Dowan executes the Falcon Drop, a devastating aerial maneuver that smashes into his target with a burst of kinetic energy. The onlookers are stunned, whispering in shock about whether that is truly the technique they think it is.
They can't believe they are witnessing it in person, murmuring, that's the famous.
The observers finish their thought in awe, realizing they are looking at the Borame granite, Sehun Kong himself.
They are left speechless, thinking, wow, he's strong as hell.
Sehun Kong, unshaken, looks down at Dowan and arrogantly wonders if the attack was too weak, or perhaps if it was just him.
Dowan gasps, breathless and questioning, ha?
Sehun Kong, eyes widening as he catches the strike, snarls, you startled me.
The onlookers are left in a state of absolute shock, whispering in disbelief, he blocked it?
Even that pig, Manchun, couldn't have pulled that off, yet Dowan finds himself reeling from the sheer impossibility of the moment as Sehun turns the tables. A sudden, sharp ping rings out in his mind, followed by the cold, mechanical alert, you're out of mana.
Sehun Kong, showing no mercy, pulls Dowan into a suffocating chokehold, his face inches from his as he tauntingly asks, whatcha thinking about? Dowan struggles desperately, slapping uselessly at Sehun's arms as he grunts out, erg. The familiar crushing pressure returns, and he can only mentally scream, again with the choking?
The room falls into an awkward, tense silence as the gathered crowd watches on, witnessing Sehun dismissively add, there's no use in tapping out. Dowan's vision begins to swim as Sehun whispers, I'm not going to let go till you faint. Amidst the fading consciousness, a flicker of recognition sparks in Dowan's mind,
A memory surfaces, faint and distorted by the lack of oxygen. Dowan fixates on Sehun's face, thinking, I feel like I've seen him before.
The edges of his world blacken as the final piece of the puzzle clicks into place, and he gasps out a single, realization-heavy syllable, him. As the scene shifts, the memory of Juan Middle School washes over him, a blaze of heat returning as he recalls that summer was unusually hot. Dowan Ha struggles to breathe as a wave of suffocating pressure crashes down on him, his mind reeling under the intensity of the moment. Sehun Kong looms over a defenseless Dowan Ha, his grip tight as he mocks the idea that tapping out will offer any escape from this torment. Sehun Kong cruelly demands that Dowan Ha keep going until he catches the so-called golden turtle, ignoring the younger boy's visible distress. The bystanders sneer and laugh, mocking Dowan Ha's loss of consciousness. It was a dark, popular pastime back then to choke people until they fainted for sport. The bullying was relentless, as Sehun Kong would ambush Dowan Ha even during mealtimes, refusing to let him eat while simultaneously pummeling him. The degradation continued in the most private of moments. Sehun Kong showed no mercy, cornering Dowan Ha even while he was at the urinals, mocking him with crude taunts about his anatomy. Dowan Ha realizes with a shudder that the true horror of those days wasn't just the constant physical fainting, it was the pervasive, mocking surveillance. Every miserable moment was captured on camera. A group of onlookers surrounded Dowan Ha, their laughter filling the room as they snapped pictures of his humiliation. Sehun Kong flashes a mocking thumbs up, gloating over how Dowan Ha's repeated failures and humiliations had turned him into a pathetic loser in their eyes. A female bystander looks on with a cruel, smug smirk, clearly finding joy in witnessing Dowan Ha being reduced to nothing more than a punchline. Dowan Ha lies sprawled on the cold ground, gasping for breath, the sheer exhaustion and defeat radiating from his disoriented expression. Above him, Sehun Kong gloats, clearly bored by the ease of his victory, sneering that he finds no fun in a fight where his opponent is already reduced to such a pathetic state. The bystanders exchange mocking glances, their voices dripping with disdain as they wonder aloud how someone like Dowan Ha managed to lose so much weight and suddenly appear handsome, questioning the strange transformation. They sneer at the sight of the girls standing by his side, baffled by how a total loser could possibly attract such company. Dowan Ha struggles to push himself up, his eyes wide with sweat and pain, every nerve ending screaming as he tries to find the strength to stand against his tormentors. The group of bullies huddles together, erupting in harsh laughter, smugly declaring that Dowan Ha is no match for Sehun and that it is laughable to even imagine him winning. They continue to deride him, mocking his lack of prospects and relishing the sight of him pinned to the ground.
Dowan Ha's eyes narrow as he grapples with the bleak reality of his situation, his internal monologue fixating on a singular, desperate question: what is the probability that he could possibly win this fight? The system reminds him that he can only use a specific skill once, and Dowan Ha unleashes a surge of electric power, striking out in a desperate attempt to turn the tide. Despite his efforts, Sehun remains implacable, seizing Dowan Ha in a chokehold that cuts off his air and leaves him feeling absolutely helpless against such overwhelming force. A newcomer steps into the spotlight with an arrogant grin, declaring that he is the new representative of Borame and challenging anyone to object. Dowan Ha, feeling utterly defeated, can only think that this is the end for him. Dowan Ha glances toward the source of the provocation, a look of confusion crossing his face as he mutters a questioning, while he assesses the situation. The challenger sneers at Dowan Ha, taunting him by asking if he really wants to continue this fight, warning that he will surely regret it if he does. Dowan Ha ignores the threat, calmly stripping off his jacket with a confident, almost eerie smile, signaling that he is done with talk. He is ready to start beating some sense into his opponent.